So what my class is called is Top 10 Torah Values. And what that means is, well, let's talk about a value, okay? So when you think of something that's valuable, you think of something that has a lot of worth, right? It has a lot of importance. So sometimes when we say value, we're talking about like how much money is something worth. But in this case, when I'm talking about a value, I'm talking about something that a person believes is important or that has a lot of meaning. So everyone has different values in their lives, right? Some people hold their family as being very important to them and that anything else doesn't matter except for my family, right? Having my family close to me and healthy and happy, that's a value for me. Somebody else might have a value of their job, right? My job, being loyal to my job and being committed to my job is my value, and I'm going to do anything to make sure that I'm always going to be in work on time and that I'm always going to, do everything that's proper around work. People also might have values like, hi, how are you? Hi, what's your name?
Hi, Doris, that's Lillian.
Lillian, fine. Hi, Lillian. Okay, awesome. We have Merlene there and Felicia. Okay, great. So we just started to talk about the title of this class, which is the top 10 Torah values. And we're discussing now what a value means, right? So we started off by saying that sometimes we use the word value to mean how much money something costs, right? What's the value of this cell phone? It's $300. That's one way of talking about the word value. Another way to talk about the word value is to talk about something that's important to you. So we give some examples. Some people have a value of being close to their family. It's so important for me to be close to my family. I would choose having dinner with my family over having dinner with my friends. Some people might value their work very much, and they might say, is that Samantha? Hi. Alex, I'm sorry, I meant Alex. What's up, Alex? Okay. And some people might say, no, I value work and I'm going to go to work even on Saturday and Sunday, and I don't care if my family is around. My value is work. And so my question is, what are the values of Torah? Meaning, our Torah, we have a lot of mitzvot.
I'm Dan. What's with the?
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
How are you? Hi.
What the heck?
Hi, you here? Okay, you can mute yourself, so I'm going to continue. Okay. My question, and the question that we're going to look at, is what are the values of the Torah? This means when we look at Torah, a lot of times we can think of mitzvot and we can think of stories, but sometimes it's hard for us to think of the general ideas that the Torah holds valuable or important. So we might be able to come up with like, okay, Shabbat. Is Shabbat a human value? It's a mitzvah, right? If you go to a goy and say like, do you value Shabbat? They're going to be like, no, what is that? I don't know what that is, right? So what is the thing about Shabbat that's something that we could value? We know that in Judaism, we might be able to think of it like charity. We know that we value helping others, helping the widows and the orphans, right? Or justice, having judges and making sure that nobody gets judged unfairly for doing something that they didn't really do or getting the wrong punishment. What I want to look at are some other values of Judaism that we might or might not recognize. And I'm going to share my screen with you here. Host disabled attendee screen sharing. Hold on, let me just I need to be able to share my screen. Hold on. Does anybody want to chime in and tell me what are some values that you think our Torah holds? Like if you think of a mitzvah, think of not the mitzvah itself, but what's the value? So like, for example, we have a lot of mitzvot about the ground. We're not allowed to do kilayin. I don't know if you guys learned that. I think you did, right? You're not allowed to mix two different seeds together and to create like a new fruit or something. What value might that be? It sounds like a strange law, but we're valuing something. We're holding something as important there when we're saying that we can't do kilayin. What we're valuing there is probably nature, right? We're saying we're not going to mess with it and we're not going to start to play games and create all these new weird fruits. We're going to value nature the way it is. We're not going to go mix it up, right? How about something like the Torah tells you not to lie, right? That's one of the Aseret HaDibrot. So what value does the Torah have? What quality would you say is the quality of not lying? Anybody? Honesty, right? Or Hashem tells us all the time, right? Don't go follow other gods. Don't go be with other gods. You need to only follow me and my Torah. So what value is that? What do we call somebody who makes sure, let's say they stick with something and they don't cheat on it or they don't go elsewhere? We might call that loyalty. We know what loyalty is? Okay, so hi Max. It's telling me I'm not able to share my screen. It says you disabled attendee screen sharing. So I just need to be able to do that soon. Okay. All right. So loyalty is another one of the values of Torah. Now, Torah has hundreds of values, and I chose 10 of them that I want to discuss this summer. And the way that we're going to do it is each week, we're going to talk about one value. We'll look at some Pesukim and talk about different ways that that idea comes up in life. And then we'll end the class with some questions. I'm the host now. Okay, great. Thank you. We're going to end the class with some questions about that value. Okay, so here's my slideshow. Okay, so top 10 Torah values. Now, if anybody wants to explore an idea that's not in my table of contents, please tell me. I'm happy to change it. I didn't plan everything yet. I do it week by week. Okay. This is the table of contents that we're going to do this summer. We're going to talk about tzniut, which is modesty today, right? And what does that really mean? Does that only have to do with clothing? The short answer, no. That's a very big topic. Okay. Briut haguf, physical wellness. Did you know that the Torah cares about your physical health? Briut hasechel, mental wellness. Do you know that the Torah cares about your mental health and your emotional health? We're going to see how. Okay. Bal tashchit, not wasting. Environmentalism. Did you know that the Torah cares about the earth and about not wasting things and about taking care of nature and making sure that we're not abusing the earth? Kavod haberiot, human dignity. What does human dignity mean? Right? Human dignity means the feeling of being human and not feeling like less than a human. We always want to make sure that people feel like they have worth and they feel good about themselves and that we don't make people feel like dirt. So we're going to talk about that concept. Okay. Hegenut, honesty. Honesty. It's not only about not lying, right? That gets complicated. What if your friend asks you if you like her haircut? Are you allowed to tell her, yeah, I love it, when you really hate it? All right. Ahabat re'im, love for others. Ahavat atzmi, self-love. Did you know that the Torah cares if you love yourself? Then we're going to talk about anava, humility, which is a little bit similar in some ways to tzniut, which we're going to talk about today, but also different. But let's jump into tzniut. So before I put up, actually, good. Tzniut. Now, I always forget to transition one of my words. I'm going to have a couple of words pop up here. But so this word that I have popped up already is the word boundaries. Boundaries. And we're going to talk about that concept. But does anyone have any other synonym maybe or idea of what they think the word tzniut means? You could call it out if you think you know what tzniut means. Marlene is struggling with a bug. Marlene, you okay? Okay. Does anybody have any idea what tzniut means? Let me see a chat. Modesty. Okay, so Frida Novik said modesty, which is how we normally translate this word, right? And when we think modesty, a lot of us immediately think about clothing, which is part of it, but not the whole thing at all. So I'm going to click and we're going to see some other words, okay? Hiddenness. Hiddenness. Lehatzneah literally means in Hebrew to hide. Preservation, to preserve something, right? So think about a treasure that you have or something that you really, really like, something that excites you, something that has a lot of worth. You might want to preserve it, right? You don't want to waste it. You want to have it in safekeeping. Self-respect, respecting yourself, part of sniut as well. And privacy, right? This is something that's very hard for us, I think, nowadays to understand with social media. I think a lot of us struggle with it. I also have an Instagram account. I post about my kids and stuff. And sometimes I have to be like, wait a minute, right? Is this the right thing to post? So all of these different ideas come out of this idea of sniut. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to understand what sniut means in 3 different ways. We're going to use some pesukim from Torah. We're not going to go super into the pesukim because they each come from a different place and they take a lot of study. But we're going to look at them and just get a small idea and then discuss, okay? So the first pasuk is from a prophet whose name is Micha, who you're probably never going to learn about in high school. You're going to have to learn about him on your own. But basically, this Navi is coming to the people after, I think, the destruction of the first Beit HaMikdash, and he is telling the people why Hashem is upset with them, right? And he's saying, Hashem doesn't want anymore all of your korbanot and all of your loud tefillah and all of your dramatic worship, right? He wants something so simple from you. What does God want from you, Adam? It's so simple. All he wants, ki'im asot mishpat ve'ahavat chesed ve'hatznea lechet im Elohecha. All Hashem wants from you is justice, chesed, and that you should walk hatznea. You should walk in a hidden way with your Hashem. That you should worship Hashem privately. So what's going on here? What's happening is, during this time, many people, they did all the things they were supposed to do. They would bring the korbanot, and they would do all of the lulav and the etrog, right? And they would do all these big signs of, look, I am a Jewish person, right? I am following Hashem. But inside, how did they feel? When they were alone, what were they doing? When they were by themselves, when no one could see them, were they really fair people? Were they people who were really reaching out to Hashem? Were they caring? Did they love others? The prophet here says, no, don't pretend that you love Hashem with all of your actions that are so outward because you just want to show everyone that you love Hashem. Hashem doesn't want that fakeness. He wants you, in reality, in your hiddenness, in your private life, to worship Hashem. We have this concept here that we learned from the Navi of the fact that Avodat Hashem is not only something that is supposed to be done in public. It's not just going to Beit Knesset on Shabbat and showing to everybody that you go and that you prayed the Amidah. It's not just lighting Nerot Shabbat so that the household could see that you have the Nerot lit. It's not only giving tzedakah in front of everybody, giving a big donation, right? Oh, I'll give $300. That's not what this is about. Hashem wants us to be senu'ah with him. He wants us in our private lives, when no one else is around to see, to be Ovedet Hashem. He wants us to show him how we really, really are, right? Not this persona that we're going to put out there. Okay? And so the first concept with sniut is having sniut with Avodat Hashem, meaning we should preserve our holiness. We should separate from animalistic drives. What does that mean? Now, we talk about this in 7th and 8th grade, and 6th graders, you didn't have me yet, right? But all of us as human beings, we're animals. I don't know if anyone ever told you that. We're at the top of the animal food chain. We're at the top of the animals, but we're kind of animal. What animals do is different than what we do. Why? Because when an animal's hungry, he doesn't say, oh, you know, I just had meat. I got to wait to eat this next thing, right? Or the animal doesn't say, oh, wait a minute, I'm really hungry, but let me say beracha first. Or, oh, I have to wash my hands. Animals don't do that. An animal is hungry, he has a drive, he goes to get food. He goes to kill his food and eat it, right? An animalistic drive means that I want something and I get it and do it right now. And so what Hashem wants from us is to say, wait a minute, I know you're hungry, but you're a human being. You're smarter than that. You have the ability to know I gave you the food and you have to say a beracha, or you have to prepare the food the right way, or you have to wash your hands. Right? So you have to separate yourself from the animal inside you that's saying, I'm just so hungry right now, I just want to eat. And instead, you have to say, wait a minute. Let me think for a second. Let me be aware. How am I going to do this? I need to separate from that drive. I need to create a boundary. Right? And that's one of the words that we use for sniut also. Creating a boundary. Yes, I'm starving. I'm hungry right now, but I'm creating for myself, was it in the microwave?
No, it's not.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Can I have it?
Oh, yes, but that's a dairy plate, honey. That's chicken. Okay, switch the plate. Yes, you can have it. No one in my house knows what's dairy and meat. I have to tell everyone everything. It's crazy. My brother and my father, they're like, what's this? What's that? Okay. Anyway, we have to create a boundary for ourselves. And one of those boundaries that we're creating is to say, I'm not an animal, I'm a human being. And therefore, I know that I'm going to be able to make this boundary and to say, no, Hashem, I recognize you, and I'm going to do your avodah. I'm going to say my beracha. I'm going to do my shechita and prepare my food properly. Okay, so that's one of the concepts here with avodat Hashem. Worshiping Hashem privately and creating boundaries. Many people are very good at looking. What? Alex, you had a question?
No, I just couldn't hear anything for a minute.
Sorry. Okay. Many people, like the Jews of the time of the Beit HaMikdash Harishon, that all the Nevi'im were yelling at, are very good at looking like they're religious and looking like they're following Torah, right? They would go spend a lot of money on the most beautiful etrog, on the most beautiful lulav. They might build the most extravagant sukkah. That's magnificent, right? It's all decorated inside with kitchen caboodles. Okay? You might have a gorgeous Chanukiah. There's things that you can do to make it look from the outside like you're really being Ovedet Hashem and you're so good. But the truth is that unless that's what's real inside, and when you're private, that's the way you are, that's not real. And so what we need to take away from this is how important it is to also do Avodat Hashem when we're in private. I'm not just going to go to school and pray because I'm in school and have to pray. Even when I'm home, even when it's a Sunday, even when I'm on vacation and no one's seeing me and there's no principal walking around or there's no teacher taking attendance, I still have to do my Avodat Hashem. I still have to do my Torah. And it's even bigger to do it that way, right? Because it's so easy to do things when people are watching you. Everybody wants to look like they're doing the right thing. So it's so easy to do a quick Amidah, right? Much harder to do it when you're alone and you're the only one who's watching you, right? Nobody else is going to come tell you if you're right or wrong. It's just you. And it's harder this way, but it's more meaningful this way. How might we do it? We might create a special place to pray. Let's say you're on the beach and you have to pray, right? We're going to pray in front of the whole community so everyone says, oh my God, she's so good, she's praying. Like, is that the point? It's not the point of it. You want to maybe go off to the back on the boardwalk, find a special corner that you want to say a mincha on. It's not about showing everybody that you are praying. It's about your avodah with Hashem in private, okay? Or giving tzedakah. By the way, giving tzedakah is a big one. There are many people who give tons of tzedakah and they have their names on buildings and they have their names on the plaques, right? And they get all these awards and prizes because they gave so much tzedakah. And it's a beautiful thing. I'm not saying it's not a beautiful thing, but there's something very special about the person who also gives his tzedakah privately when nobody knows that you gave the tzedakah, right? And even when you learn about the laws of tzedakah, you'll see that the best way to give tzedakah is privately. So the person who gets the money doesn't know who it's coming from, and the person who gives the money doesn't know where it's going to. Nobody knows where the money came from. It's not about me feeling good about myself. Oh, I know I gave it to this family for that. Nope, Hashem told me that we have to give tzedakah and we have to help others. I'm going to give it. I don't know where it's going. I don't know where it's coming from. That's not important to me, right? I'm just going to do my avodah. And this is the concept of sniud in avodat Hashem, that we should always be avodat Hashem, not just in public and in front of people, but also in our private lives. Okay, do I have any questions about that? Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be avodat Hashem in public. Obviously, we're often in public places. And of course, we have to continue to do those things. What I'm saying is that the concept or the value of sniut that the Torah gives us is one that also applies to avodat Hashem. Don't just think that it only matters what you do in public. It matters what you do in private as well, probably even more, because that's the real you. Okay. Next, we have this pasuk. It's a little bit of a difficult pasuk, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But basically what it says, Kol kevuda bat melech penima mi mishpetzot zahav lebusha. What this means is, it's from Tehillim. It's a pasuk from Tehillim, and then the pasuk talks about a king, and it's trying to compare Hashem to a king and saying how Hashem is the greatest king, and he's so strong, and he's a warrior, and his queen has so much kavod when she is inside. What does that mean, inside? Now, some communities take this pasuk and say, oh, this means women shouldn't leave the house. They have to be in the home all the time. They shouldn't be out in public. They shouldn't be in the street, right? That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that there is there's kind of almost two sides to all of us, right? We have a private and we have a public side. And being able to keep things private is a very high value, and it's what gives a person self-respect. And we're going to talk about a lot of these different examples. Now, notice I'm not using the word secret here. A secret is not good. We're not talking about secret. We're talking about privacy. And privacy is the idea that there are some things that I'm going to keep hidden until the appropriate time to say them. So here what we're talking about is tzniut in our behavior. The way that we behave needs to have tzniut. It needs to be with tzniut. Okay? So let's just think of something obvious here. Someone tells you information, right? Important information, and they ask you not to say. Or not to say for a certain amount of time. Okay? Now, this information is something that you are to preserve and you are to guard it until the appropriate time and the appropriate place to say it. Doing this the right way is a way of being sinu'ah in your behavior. Meaning, it's not about not ever saying anything and hiding up, but rather knowing when the right time to use or to say something is. Okay? So like, for example, if you're sitting at like a fancy dinner with people, I'm sure you're not going to talk about, silly things like a movie or a silly show or what happened in school that day, right? That's not an appropriate thing to say at that time. Those things you're going to hide or hold for a different time. It's about exposing the proper things at the proper times. Okay, so here's some other ideas of being sinu'ah in your behavior. Having discrete habits, meaning not always doing everything in front of everybody, right? You do your netilah before mincha, not everyone has to see you. It's something that you're doing nicely, privately, quiet speech, not being someone loud and obnoxious, right? So this is a concept of tzniut. Tzniut is not just clothing. Tzniut is in the way you act as well, right? Not being someone who's walking down the street. It's my worst thing when I'm like in public and I see a group of kids on the street and like you could hear them from miles away and they're yelling and they're saying not nice words and they're trying to be all funny, but it's obnoxious. That's not the way you're supposed to act in public. You're not supposed to call all this attention to yourself. You're supposed to be a modest person, a quiet person, walking down the street, respect the fact that there's other people's houses next to you, that there's other people going about their lives around you, right? And emotions privately expressed, right? Sometimes we have big emotions and a lot of us feel like we should always be expressing our emotions, but sometimes it's just not appropriate. So like, let's say you get a birthday gift and you hate it. Let's say your grandma gives you a birthday gift and you hate it. How do you deal with that in a tzniut way? You don't flip out on the spot and hysterical cry and say that you hate it. That's not appropriate. That's not sinu'ah, right? What you would do is you would say, oh my goodness, grandma, thank you so much. And maybe later you might tell your mom, I really was disappointed from the gift. Is there anything we could do? Okay? So knowing the appropriate times to say things, right? Knowing when is the right time to reveal something that was hidden. The avoidance of grossness, the avoidance of grossness, boisterous laughter, ruckus behavior, even loud ornaments, okay? So in general, it's talking about being not obnoxious and loud and over the top. We're calling attention to yourself so that everyone should look and be like, oh, look at those girls. They left such a mess on the city bus, right? They were talking so loudly. They took up all the space and all the seats, right? Instead, going on a city bus, sitting in your seat, making sure you get up for the right person, cleaning up after yourself, right? There's also a tzniut in that as well, in your behavior. Even loud ornaments. That's a very interesting one. So an ornament's another word for like an accessory, right? I remember I used to have these heels when I would go to shul. I was maybe in 9th grade or 10th grade in high school, and I would walk down the street and they made such a loud noise. I don't know if any of you have shoes like this, but like with a heel that just click like every time you walk down the street. And after a few weeks, I was so embarrassed because I realized that like people from down the street would turn their heads when they heard them. It sounded like a horse was galloping down the street from my shoes. And I realized that it wasn't sniyut. It wasn't sniyut to be walking on the street and have people just looking at you when you're walking down the street. It wasn't proper. And so I think I put something on the bottom of the shoe so it wouldn't make that noise anymore, right? So being a person that's sniyut, again, it's about your behavior. It's about maybe, and I don't mean, God forbid, to like swallow away your emotions and never express it, but expressing it at the right time, right? In school, in the conflict resolution, we talk a lot about the heat of the moment. We don't like to try and apologize in the heat of the moment. I'm feeling angry now. I have to take it. I have to walk away. I have to calm down. And then I could appropriately say, what you did hurt me. I feel hurt by what you said, right? We're not screaming and crying that instant, okay? Or when I get a bad grade on a test, I'm not hysterical crying and storming out and causing a whole scene. And then the whole class has to come and they have to console me because I did badly on a test, right? That's not sniyut. You're allowed to be upset, but there's a way to appropriately handle that. There's a way to say, okay, I'm upset right now, but right now in front of the whole class when we're about to go out to recess is not the time to make it all about me and my bad grade, right? This is not a sniyut way of being. A sniyut way of being is to take that upset and to say, okay, I'm going to talk about this with my teacher. Maybe I'll talk about it with my best friend. Maybe I'll talk about it with my mother at the right time, not right now, okay? So the concept of being a person who has self-respect also comes from choosing when to say what you're feeling, choosing how to express what you're feeling, and in general, behaving in a way that's respectful and kind and not loud and obnoxious, especially when you're in front of other people who look at us and who know, oh, these are Jewish girls, right? Being on the street, being on the beach, being in the ice cream place, being at the mall, being in the movie theater. Right? We always have to be careful how we're acting and hope that we're acting in a sniyut way and not being loud and making the whole mall look at us. Okay? Now, the last sniyut that we're going to talk about is sniyut in dress and clothing. And I'm going to bring you an example here from Torah. Somebody actually is going to tell me who this is. ותאמר אל העבד, מי האיש הלזה ההולך בשדה לקראתנו? ויאמר העבד, הוא אדוני. ותיקח השעיף ותדחס. Like this. Or like this. Who is this? Who is this pasuk talking about? Marlene? Rivka. Beautiful. What's happening here?
She's like embarrassed, not embarrassed. She's like she's like covering her face.
Why? Who is she meeting?
Yitzchak.
Beautiful. Meeting Yitzchak. Okay. So now Eved Avraham is bringing her in on the donkey, right? And she asks, who is that guy? And he says, oh, that's my master, meaning the one you're going to marry. And she immediately covers her face, right? What is this idea of covering her face? At that moment, she felt exposed. She said, oh my God, this is not how I'm going to meet my husband. I can't just meet him while I'm on a donkey and he's in the middle of the field. No, I have to meet him properly. I'm not ready to meet him, right? And so she covers her face. Now, it's not because, God forbid, you're not allowed to look at a woman's face, but it's because that time and that place wasn't the right way for her to show herself yet, okay? And so I brought this pasuk to talk about sniyut in clothing, but the truth is that the Torah doesn't have any outright pasukim about sniyut with clothing. Why? Because that's just how people were. It's just how people were. And there was a culture of the way that people were sniyut, and that changed over time, right? You know, in the time of Moshe, they didn't have like pencil skirts and collared shirts, right? Their sniyut looked a little bit different than ours. So we don't have any pesukim that really talk about it because that was just the way people were. They dressed sniyut. But what does it mean to be sniyut? It doesn't mean to wear a garbage bag and have nobody look at you. And it doesn't mean you have to look ugly. And it doesn't mean you have to be uncool. And it doesn't mean you can't have style. What sniyut in dress is talking about is the recognition of the fact that your body is something that should be preserved for the right times and the right place. You got to take a shower. You want to go swimming. Right? You're going to bed, you're getting married. Whatever the situation is, you reveal your body at the proper time in the proper way. which probably means that every day as we're going out, we don't need so much exposed. And we can dress in a way that's modest. And now I'm not here to tell you to cover your collarbone and elbow and knee, right? Although we do have guidelines like that exist. Those are personal choices. But what I will tell you is there is still a concept of sniut in clothing. Even if you choose to wear pants, even if you choose to wear short sleeves, no matter how you choose to dress, there is always a level of modesty that you could take upon yourself. There's people who choose not to wear certain colors because they find that they're loud, right? Or certain prints because they're too flashy. There's many different ways to take this modesty of dress, but it's something that I want you to think about in your own way, right? I had a friend who, she wore jeans, she wore shorts, but she never showed her shoulders. For her, that was her line. So she didn't wear any strapless things, any spaghetti straps. She always had a sleeve on her shoulders, right? And I always respected her for that because it's very hard to do that if you're wearing jeans and then you want to say, no, I can't wear a tank top. That was tricky for her, right? Obviously, everybody has their different levels of how they want to dress sinuah, but it still is part of the concept of sniut, that your body is what's holding in your neshama, and that your body should not be exposed at all times, and that your body should be preserved and should be kept private for certain people and certain situations, right? So traditionally covered parts of the body should not be exposed, right? So there's the obvious private parts of the body that should be exposed, right? Although one could still dress stylishly and you could still express yourself. It's about keeping the majority of the private parts of your physical body private, okay? And I do want to say that it's very important to think about sniut, and it's very important to think about how you look to other people. How are they looking at you? What are they seeing when they look at you? Right? Can somebody look at you and say, I know that that's a Jewish girl. I know that that's a girl who follows in the way of Hashem. Or are you blending in with the whole rest of society? Okay, so now we spoke about sniut in avodat Hashem, sniut in behavior, and sniut in your physical clothing. And now I have a few questions that I would like you guys to like call out ideas if you have, but that's gonna like maybe test the way that we're now thinking of sniut. Okay, so the question is, how might we act with sniut in the following situations? Okay, so the first situation, you played amazingly in your basketball game and scored 60 points for your team, causing them to win. How can you now behave with sniut if that was you and that's what happened to you? I'm gonna let you guys call out. Someone other than Merlene. Frida?
Like you won't like brag about it, like you keep it to yourself.
Beautiful, right? People are still going to come up to you and congratulate you, but it's very different than walking around being, yeah, I'm amazing. Look what I did. I'm the whole team. You couldn't do without me, right? That's not sniut. That's not a proper way of behavior, right? So being sniut would be say, thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Smiling, being happy. Of course you could, right? But not throwing it in people's face. Okay, you're by your friend for a sleepover and it's time to pray shacharit. How could we practice sniut with this, Marlene?
Like you tell your friends, like, I need to pray, and like go to a different room and do it privately.
Beautiful, finding a personal space, finding a private space to do your shacharit, not just doing it to look cool in front of your friends, right? Or doing it quick because you just want to be with them, but really saying, I have to be Ovedet Hashem, and this is my private thing, and this is what I'm going to go do. Okay, your parents just got you a brand new iPhone for your birthday. Lillian, you want to take this one? How could we act with sniut in this situation? Your parents just got you a brand new iPhone for your birthday.
You could tell your friends that you could say like, my parents just got me an iPhone, but you don't have to like say, like, you could be happy, but you don't have to like tell everyone, oh my gosh, look, I'm old enough to get a phone, and like, maybe someone else has like a family iPad and they'll feel bad. They think they're not old enough to get a phone yet, maybe.
Beautiful, beautiful, right? So always recognizing that maybe people around you don't have the same thing. And so maybe you want to tell your best friend, you know, or maybe you could bring it to school, but not being like, oh my God, guys, you don't even know I got an iPhone, and putting it in the class chat and making everyone else feel bad, right? So of course, you're still allowed to be excited, still allowed to be happy, but revealing that information in an appropriate, respectful way. Okay, you were just told that you would be receiving the award of valedictorian. Ooh, right? And I'm sure you would all say the same thing. not running around and jumping saying, I got valedictorian, right? But are allowed to be excited because everyone else is going to hear and they're going to tell you and you're going to say, thank you, I appreciate it, right? Okay, let's see the next one. You get back a test in school to see that you received 100. Same idea. Giving back tests in school, by the way, 6th graders, you're going to see this with me. Giving back tests in school, I do not allow you to even make a face. Come get your test and go sit down. Because when it becomes everybody showing everybody what they got, this is not the point of giving tests. This is not how we get, you get the test, oh, or you get this, yes, right? And then everyone around you feels bad. It's the worst feeling ever, right? This is not a sneaky way to be. Your test is your privacy. It's your personal grade. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Okay? You're getting dressed to go to a party with all of your friends. Oh, I didn't see that one on the bottom. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to go back to it. You're getting dressed to go to a party with all of your friends. Okay? Now, you have to think about that, right? What kind of party is this? Who's going to be there? How are they going to be looking at me? What do I want to represent about myself? Who am I and how do I want to represent myself? Lillian, you have a question?
Can I say what this one is?
Tell me.
You should like you should ask like what kind of party. Let's say it's like a party all of like say like it's like on Paris or like just like candy. You should see how like the party is. Then you get dressed, but you shouldn't get just like too fancy. Like don't like go like let's say you never wear high heels. You shouldn't go and put high heels and put on all this makeup and go say, oh my gosh, look, I got so dressed up. You should just wear what you normally would wear to like a party. Beautiful, right? Dressing appropriately for the dress code, not trying to overdo it, be over the top, not trying to overexpose yourself and be a show off, right? Leave that to the hostess of the party. Let her have the prettiest dress, right? I saw this one that I did before, right? You're about to meet a really important government official, or how about the Queen of England? There's a lot to think about. What are you going to wear to go meet the Queen of England? How are you going to speak to her? What is your body going to look like? You're going to be like, yo, what's up, right? You're not doing that. You're going to curtsy. This is part of sniyut. This is part of the way you act when you meet somebody important, okay? Okay, so these are only some examples, but the concept of sniyut is something that should always occur to you in your everyday. When you're in a store, when you're in public, but also especially when you're in private and when you're by yourself, right? Because that is what shows you the real you. Are you going to say your beracha the same? Are you going to do your tefillah the same? Are you still going to give tzedakah when you're alone by yourself? So the first value that we discussed was this concept of sniyut, this concept of preserving things for the right time, of privacy, of having boundaries, of hiding things and revealing them only when necessary, and not always revealing to everyone everything all the time. Not everyone has to know everything that goes on in your best friend group. Not everyone has to know everything that's going on in your family. Not everyone has to know all the thoughts in your head or all the grades that you got, right? Each one of you needs to take this idea home and to say, I'm going to now embody this value of sniyut. And make sure that the next time you have a big emotion, a big idea, a big secret, a lot of information that you just want to say, think about what's the appropriate way to do this and when. Okay? So thank you guys for coming tonight. I really hope to see you next week. So we're going to talk about a different value. Next week is going to be physical wellness and how the Torah cares about your physical body and your physical health. Okay, guys? I hope you all enjoyed. My classes are usually going to be about 40 minutes. And if you enjoyed, please tell your friends next week. I would like to have all of my new 6th graders and my current 8th graders and my current 7th graders as well. Okay? Anybody have any questions about what we did today?
Hi.
No? Okay. Thank you guys very, very much for coming. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Bye.